Hello and welcome to the Queer Courier. I hope during your subscription today, I'm Cora. So we're just about to leave to go out to the property to go gold prospecting, and if you want to look into some of the stuff that we're bringing, let me go through some of it for you. One of the things that I think that no one ever does when they go out and do these videos on gold prospecting is they never go through the stuff that they bring, right? So I'm going to just go through that quick. We're in Arizona, so you might need some different things than other places. Definitely recommend a tonneau cover for your truck if you're going out or something to keep it safe. But number one tool for any gold prospector out there, 5-gallon pails. I've got 5 of them. You're going to want, if you're in Arizona, water to bring with you. Chairs. I actually have a cart that I use to carry things to and from the truck, since I'm able to, at this place, drive close up to the land, but sometimes I'm a little farther away depending on where it's at, and that thing can off-road. It's got some great tires on it. Along with that, I've got a crowbar, gloves, a scoop, sunscreen, some ore that I might be crushing up later. I don't know. But also, you're going to need gold pans, shovels, classifiers. One thing that's underrated is some little dish soap. Along with all of that, I also will be bringing along with me today this big tub. I've got my backpack with a bunch of supplies in it. Inside of the tub, what we're going to be using today is down there, and we'll get to see more of that later, which is the Dream Mat Micro Sluice. So that'll be set up inside this bin with a 5-gallon pail and those boards, to kind of create a recirculating sluice. I mean, in Arizona, if you don't have water, that's how you do it. And for that, we're going to need a battery down there. And as I walk inside here, right before we head out and drive there today, I wanted to go over the fact that yes, my truck is dirty. Yes, everything is dirty. If you're going out gold prospecting, whether you're fabulous like me as a lady or a boy, you're gonna get dirty. All right, we're out here on the land and almost set up. Took us about an hour and a half to get out here. A beautiful spot on a creek here in Arizona. There is a little bit of water in the creek, as you can see. Some bees around too, but so you gotta be careful with that. But there's enough that I can run the sluice out of the water that's here and recirculate it. So things are good on that front. We're just gonna need to set it up. One of the things that you always want to do when you're doing it is make sure it's level. So here's our system. This is the Dream Mat Micro Sluice with the pump going into the water over there. It's a spring-fed area, so there's always a little bit of water, but you don't know when it's going to be full. And it goes over there to our battery. We're going to be digging out of over there today, which you can see people have dug. And it's because the water comes down through here and has deposited a whole bunch of dirt here. And in Arizona, a lot of times you want to look in the hard-packed dirt. You don't necessarily want to look in the bottom of the creek because a lot of times that's been hit really hard. So I'll show you some of the dirt we're pulling out in a sec. See, if you look here on this bank, you can see all the river gravels down there in this area that are all mixed in with the clay and the mud and everything. And in Arizona, that's a lot of times what you want to look for. And as it came around behind this tree, stuff settled. Flood seasons get pretty high here, so that's what happens is it comes up here, it deposits, and a lot of gold goes with it. So I'll pull a pan from here and see how we're doing, to really see if we're in a good spot. Always test. So we got some material from over there. First thing here is the gold's relatively small, so I have 2 classifiers in here. And you're gonna really, roll my sleeves up. Really want to shake it hard and not be gentle about it. So. And you can see here, there's a lot of the big rocks. So we can just toss those aside. I've never found anything in there. Maybe I will someday. But then you can see the material in there. I really want to shake it up and get all of the fine material through. You can see now it's just stuff that's left in that top one. I like to do one last shake usually. And then that too, I tend to set aside. I've got a little metal detector. I'll go through that later. I'll put that down there. And then what you're left with, just to show it looks like that. And what you're going to want to do is get that nice and fluid. Don't be afraid to get your hands in there to get the water all in with it. And you want to make sure it's fluid and get the gold down to the bottom. You're going to pretend that the gold is going to go right to that corner right where you want it to be. And then you're just going to take the top couple layers off, usually 3 I do, and then you're going to go back in. Top 3 layers, back in. Top 3 layers, back in. And don't worry about shaking it a lot. You don't need to be gentle with it. And the reason you classify is because the gold is small and it's going to be fighting with those big rocks to get to the bottom. So the better you classify to have the same size material, the better chance the gold has to settle to the bottom. Get some of that stuff off the back. Slightly tilted. Alright, now when I'm down here like this, I'll wash my hand off a little bit. I like to go to one-handed. I can control it a little bit better at this point. I'm just going to do that a few times. Down. And yeah, when you're doing this, you're going to get wet, as one of my favorite YouTube prospectors always says. You don't want to take it down too far. So you get down to that last little bit, and then there's not a lot of black sand in this area, which is very fortunate because the gold is definitely the heaviest thing. Makes it nice and easy to pan, so you can go a little lower than you normally would. And I like to tap it up to the top corner, and then I'm going to pan it back. And you want to stop it. So when you're panning it back, a lot of times what you want to do is tap it to the top like that. You'll see all that's in the corner. The heaviest stuff, it'll be in the back corner. And now you're going to start swishing it back and forth like this, and every once in a while you want to tap it again. Get the heavy stuff at the top. And there's some gold up there in the top already, I can see. Right there. Well, probably 5 pieces up there. I'll get the close-up of that. If you look right up top there, there's probably 5 pieces across the top. I don't know how well it's showing it, but I can see one right center screen there. That's probably the biggest one on the top there. There's a lot of fine gold in this area, so I think we're in a good spot, and we'll get set up with the Highbanker, and we'll see how much of that we can get. Okay, so we have tested our thing. It seems to be running pretty well. As you can see, we've been running stuff through. One thing I will say is you're going to want to get your dirt wet before you put it in your sluice box, so get it nice and soupy. And then you just feed it in the top. And you want to get as much of that water going down and through as possible. So when you first put it in, you might do that, and then you just kind of sweep the material off the back of this one. And the one thing I have to complain about this is that if you get it set up at the right angle, notice how that's a little too flat. I wish it was a little more tilted. But yeah, you just kind of toss it in. This little sluice box does a great job. I've already run 1 bucket. I'm on my second. I was just getting the system set up. But in a sec, we're going to be, once I get done with this bucket, I'm going to stop the thing, do a little clean out. I'll show you how that works, because one of the things you want to do is make sure that as you are doing this, you're testing to make sure you're catching the gold. If you look down here, one thing you can always do as a double check, as you can see the water's cycling through there nicely, and it's running over the surface of that like nice and flat. There's no tilt to it, there's no nothing. I have a little phone level that I can show you at some time, and it works really well. Let's keep making sure we're feeding this nice and steady. And you can work through a bucket in about 5 to 10 minutes depending on how fast you're feeding it. And that's really it. So one of the reasons all the gold and everything should be in there, that I just did it off camera, is because it takes a lot of hands to do that. But as you can see, I can pull the Dream sluicing directly out. And I'm breathing hard because gold mining's hard work. But it's all in there. So we're going to pan it out real quick. I'm going to see if I can do this one-handed. Get all the gold to the bottom. We got to make sure our sluice is working good. All right, I'll see if I can get that pan back and show you the gold at the end. Okay, so there's all the gold cleaned up. If you look at that, we ran for only about 30 minutes, just about 2 5-gallon pails, 3/4 full. That's it. So we're on some good gold right now. Now it's just time to put in some hours and some time. Looking forward to seeing what we can get at the end. So yeah, we're right over here is where we're digging. You can see someone dug there before, but we're off to the side a little bit, and some pretty good gold over there. So we're just going to keep on going with that. I'll probably throw a test pan in a little bit later to see where we're at, but we're doing good. So we had a visitor right now for one of the local farmers' cows that are free range around here, decided to pay us a visit. I mean, there's some water here. I'm sure it wants to drink. You know, we're just trying to get it to move on. Not going to hurt anything, but I might have to move my sluice. One thing you're going to want to do when you're looking at this stuff, and I apologize if there's some wind noise here, is before we put in some more dirt, you got to make sure that your pump is in a spot that's away from your discharge. One of the big mistakes people make with these is that they put where the silt and dirt is going right next to where the pump is going. That's a bad idea. So make sure you put the pump back there. This is going to recirculate back. And it's looking good. And you may be wondering yourself, like, why am I wearing a hat like this? And, you know, just there's all these kinds of trees and no cactuses, but I'm in Arizona. Well, that's because where we're at today is up in northern Arizona, and it's a place that I had to drive a ways to get to. So when you look around, like, we're up at about 5,000 feet. So the high for today is about 55 degrees. So if you're going to be out, even in Arizona, it can get cold. Here's a picture of the gold that we got during our session while we were out at the creek, and we did pretty well. As you can see, there's a couple little chunkies there, and it was a lot of fun. But we a lot of fine gold in that spot. That just shows how good that Dream Mat sluice is. Next time, I'll show the cleanup process when I get a chance, and I really hope to see you on our next video.